Well, yeehaw, and welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show, partners. If you're asking why I'm dressed like a cowboy, I will quickly explain that in just one moment. But first, it's been a few weeks and I missed you guys, so it's good to be back. It's been a hectic few weeks, but real quick, I want to give a shout out to Season 5 of Yellowstone, and that's why I'm dressed like a cowboy, or a shitty version of Woody from Toy Story. And with all that said, there is a snake in my boots. But anyway, I have not seen Yellowstone Season 1, 2, 3, or 4. Maybe I should start with 5. I've heard it's a pretty damn good show. I will eventually get around to watching this. Huge fan of Kevin Costner. Ever since I saw him in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves back in the early 1990s, this was my go-to dude. But yeah, I've heard good things. Haven't seen it yet, but it is out now. So big thanks to Paramount for sending me all this cowboy get-up stuff. And they also sent me this belt buckle right here that weighs 87 pounds. And the denim jacket with the Yellowstone logo and the cowboy hat. I don't know how tough I look in this cowboy hat with these little strings dangling down here. There, let me tie them. But anyway, Yellowstone Season 5 on Blu-ray or DVD, whatever you want. Go with Blu-ray. You need the higher picture quality and superior resolution and better audio quality. Comes out May 9th. And so it came out a few days ago. But nevertheless, if you want to pick it up, check it out. But I'm a huge fan of this get up here. Should I just wear this for the rest of the live stream? It's been sitting in a box under my desk for a week now, and I felt like tonight was the night. You guys needed this. Someone poisoned the water hole. All right, let's just dive into your questions. I missed you guys. I missed the questions. Just been weird. I've been finding myself for the last few weeks, and by finding myself, I think I have truly hit what we could call the critical tipping point. I finally had a midlife crisis. I did. At the tender age of 36, I had a midlife crisis. And I got a riding lawnmower a few months ago. And I have just been mowing my grass for 2 weeks. It's so cathartic, mildly therapeutic. I get on a podcast and I go where the wind takes me, mowing that grass, line after line. And it's a beautiful, organic experience, and I can't explain how much I just enjoy going 3 miles per hour in my yard. And by the way, speaking of podcasts, did you guys know the Flick Pick Live Show has finally arrived as a podcast? That's right. A round of applause from everyone. Thank you. So yeah, if you guys want to listen to the live show, if you don't want to look at my stupid face for 2 hours, you don't have to. But if you want to listen to my stupid voice for 2 hours, you need to. So if you want to check that out on Spotify, it's on a few other platforms. It will be coming to iTunes very soon, except it's sort of a complicated thing. I'm getting it there, but I recommend Spotify. That's my go-to. So if you go to Spotify and you just type in the Flick Pick, you'll see the Flick Pick logo. Click that shit and you can listen to the podcast. And what I will start doing, I have the last live show on there right now. You can go check it out, give it a listen. And if you do, give it a thumbs up or rate it. 5 out of 5. You guys know how this shit goes. And I will start putting every new episode on there a few days after the live show goes on YouTube. So in a few days, I will have the audio version of this live show on Spotify and a few other platforms. So go check that stuff out. On the next one, I'll put some links down below, which I forgot to do today. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I forgot how to do YouTube. All right, so let's just dive into the questions. That's what you guys came here for. That's the good stuff. All right. Percival, how's it going? Finally, John. Finally. Hope you're doing awesome, my guy. I'm doing okay. I'm doing pretty good. No complaints from me. The next one also comes from Percival. You can replace Jake Gyllenhaal from Brokeback Mountain, John. Ooh, that's... Just let me spit on my hand and get ready. Let's have a sleepover tonight. I'll bring the tent. All right. You know what's weird about Brokeback Mountain? Well, I guess it's not that weird. I've seen bits and pieces of the movie over the years, but I never sat down and watched it until last year, or maybe the year before. But just recently is when I finally sat down and watched the entire movie. And it is truly depressing. And by the way, speaking of other movies, I never got around to watching when they originally came out and finally did, is just 2 nights ago, we watched Patriots Day starring, hey, what are you doing over there? It's Mark Wahlberg. Am I a cop in Boston or something? I don't know. But yeah, I finally watched Patriots Day. And a pretty good movie. It's based on the true story around the Boston bombings that happened in 2013, I believe it was. And yeah, really good movie. I need to go and do some research to see how much of the film is accurate to the story, because there's one shootout sequence that feels a little bit Hollywoodized ever so slightly. I'm sure it's more or less true, but I would be curious to know how accurate that was. But man, good movie. I really enjoyed it. And that comes from Peter Berg, who also directed the not classic Battleship starring Rihanna. Does anyone remember the movie Battleship? No? Okay, let's continue on. Carter Lovejoy, how's it going, man? Carter Lovejoy, every day, sends me a message on Snapchat. John, are you going to go live tonight? And tonight is the night, just for you, Carter. Okay, the next one is going to come from... Did you get any other 4Ks or Blu-rays, John? Well, funny you say that. I do have one new movie here. It's on Blu-ray. This was sent to me from Universal. I wish it was on 4K. I'd be a little more excited about it, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. I did get the Blu-ray of Knock at the Cabin, the latest M. Night Shyamalan film. And as per usual, the guy can do suspense. He can do a great first act. He can do a pretty damn good second act. But it's that closing finale of that third act where M. Night either hits a home run or he just completely just shits the bed. And I would say more or less he kind of had the third act of this movie, the ending, it was like all that for this. All that mystery, all that suspense for this. Maybe some people enjoyed the ending. I thought it was a little on the nose. But Knock at the Cabin, I really did enjoy the suspense of it. I really liked Dave Bautista in this film. And it was one of those movies where I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, okay, this could go a lot of different directions. And it just went the obvious direction, which was the only direction I feel like it shouldn't have went. But yeah, Knock at the Cabin. Watch it at home one day on a rainy day, a cold, rainy day, or just a rainy day. You know what? We'll go with just the rainy day. If the precipitation is 100% outside, watch Knock at the Cabin. So I saw this in theaters. And I don't know if I'll get around to watching it anytime soon again, but hey, it exists on Blu-ray. All right. We got a few questions here from Ray Farr. How's it going, Ray Farr? Hi, John. Even though I'm not religious, a religious viewer of your channel. Okay, I thought we were going to talk about religion, but you're just not a religious viewer. That's okay. As long as you come say hi every once in a while, that's all I ask for. I always love your insight and personality. Keep being you, and thanks for all the content. Well, thank you, Ray, for the questions. Because you guys, more or less, are the... You guys... I put the content together, yes. But you guys are the backbone and the heartbeat of the content on this channel. Because guess what? During live shows, I just talk about the shit you guys want to talk about. That's it. That's what I do. And sometimes I wear a cowboy hat and make a fool out of myself. And by the way, this denim jacket does not smell very good. All right. I feel like it's tainting my soul. Alberto Celis says, thoughts on The Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis. I've only seen it once, and the first time I saw it was probably back in like the early 2000s. Good movie. Is that a Tony Scott movie? Is that Tony Scott? If it's not a Tony Scott movie, it feels like a Tony Scott movie. But yeah, you got Bruce Willis and you have Damon Wayans. Is Damon Wayans in it? Yeah. I don't remember a lot about it. I know it has like a cult following for it. I watched it once. I thought it was okay. Maybe I should go back and revisit it. It could be considered one of those guilty pleasure movies. It's incompetently made, but definitely a pure like early 90s flick. I don't remember tons about it, though. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Someone says, still waiting for Avatar 2. What do you mean you're still waiting for Avatar 2? That shit's out. What are you talking about? It's coming to streaming next month. Now, we did pay $20 to watch it on VOD or whatever they call it nowadays. We did pay $20 to watch it because I took some edibles and I needed to go to Pandora. That's what I needed, and it was worth $20 for the trip to Pandora. I will say this after my second viewing of Avatar, though. Like, I liked it a lot less the second time I watched it. And the one complaint with the first Avatar is, yeah, the story's not that good, but the visuals are great. I actually think the story in the first Avatar is more than sufficient. It services the visuals fine. But the story in Avatar: The Way of Water is kind of bad. It's actually kind of bad. I'll keep it real with you. Watching Avatar the second time, it felt like James Cameron's screenplay was written for the IQ of an audience of 9-year-olds. And sometimes that's fine. But it just really felt like it was lackluster, to say the least. I don't feel like there was much heart put into it. I feel like James Cameron said, you know what? I want to show a whole bunch of water, CG water. And you know what else I want? I want a blue alien boy to become friends with a whale. And then everyone's like, okay, well, what about the rest of the story? And he's like, it doesn't fucking matter about the rest of the story. Did you hear what I said? And that's what we got. We got 2 hours and 45 minutes of what I just said. The rest of it just happens. But yeah, thank you for the comment about Avatar: The Way of Water. It is Tony Scott. Okay, I was going to say, it looks like a Tony Scott movie. It's just, all Tony Scott movies, it's a constant golden hour look of his movies. The sun always looks like it's setting. And it looks warm and very contrasty and vivid. That's what Tony Scott movies look like. The sunset is always happening in his movies. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a beautiful, glorious experience, but just an observation. We got one here from Gus Babington. How's it going, Gus? Howdy, John. Pick a new energy drink flavor. Buffalo Bill's Lady Suit Juice. Sounds salty. Or Pigeon Lady Bathwater. Oh, shit. You literally just made me gag. You saying the Pigeon Lady Bathwater induced my gag reflex. My eyes are watering right now. That's how real that shit is. That's how much I despise that filthy, homeless pigeon lady covered in bird shit. Listen, I understand circumstances, economically speaking, things happen. But there is no reason that you have to be covered in bird shit. You know how you avoid that? You don't let birds shit on you. All right? By the way, speaking of new energy drinks, and thank you for the question, I am trying out a new energy drink. It is not from Buffalo Bill or the Pigeon Lady. Though if I had to pick one of those two, I would probably pick Buffalo Bill's salty suit juice. But Yerba, this is a new energy drink I've been trying out for a few days now. Actually, a few weeks now. I just lied to you. I meant a few weeks. And what happened was I was in Costco. It's sort of like the suburban Midwest Disneyland. Or at least for me, that's what it is. And there was a guy giving out samples. And I tried one of the samples of this. It's called Yerba. And it was delicious. It tasted refreshing. It didn't taste all chemically enhanced with battery acid and horse piss. And it most certainly did not taste like the Pigeon Lady's bathwater. But the best way I can describe this is it's all organic and blah, blah, blah. And what else is this? Naturally caffeinated. This is mango passion fruit. And it comes in various flavors. By the way, this is not sponsored by, but one day I'm hoping to get a sponsorship from them because I do believe in it. But have you ever tried the soda Zevia, which is sweetened with stevia? It sort of tastes like that, but with more caffeine in it. It's very refreshing, so I recommend it. Check it out. It's not even like one of those, it's not even an energy drink where it's, you know how some energy drinks you only drink when you want energy? This you could casually drink if you just like ate food or something. So I'm a big fan of it thus far. Okay, the next one comes from Rayfar once again. Favorite cosplay, Chris Custom Collectible. Man, Cosplay Chris has done some awesome collectibles over the years, man. And there's a few I wanted to buy from him, but it just, with the shipping from Australia, it was like cost prohibitive for me. But he actually did send me a few back in the day. He sent me the tall Ben Affleck Batman 16-inch figure, which he customized, which looked really cool. I had a video on this channel. If you guys want to see that video, just type in like Batman custom collectible on this channel. You'll find it. Really cool. And then he also did one for the Hulkbuster suit where he put lights in it, and I also shared that on this channel back in like 2015. That was really cool. So those, I think the Hulkbuster one was pretty sweet. I actually enjoyed that. But he did a few recently, or maybe a couple years ago, where he had like I think he did a Jurassic Park one. Or am I making that up? I think he did like a Jurassic Park one with the Ford Explorer, and he did the gate behind it where the T-Rex comes through. I think he did that. But that was one of the coolest ones I remember seeing. I'm pretty sure that was him. If not, I'm sorry. All right, we got a question here from Parzival once again, who is a YouTube member. Who do you think is a better wrestler turned actor, The Rock or Bautista? Personally, I think Bautista has more range with his acting roles. Yeah, I do agree. You know, The Rock just sort of feels like The Rock, and he plays the same character in every movie 99% of the time. So yeah, Bautista feels like he wants to play a character. He likes to play different characters. And I think he's doing very well. He's subtle with his acting performance. He doesn't seem like Dave Bautista. He just seems like the character he's portraying. And I give him a round of applause. He does pretty good with it. I can't think of a role that I feel like he did bad at. Maybe that Uber movie, whatever that Uber movie was that came out like 3 years ago. That was kind of sort of a lackluster comedy. What was that called? The Uber movie. I don't remember what it was called, but. And I still say this. If they ever make a new version of Bane, I'm talking to you, Matt Reeves, because Matt Reeves does in fact watch all of my live shows. And we've been working together on the new Batman sequel script late at night. None of that's true. I wish it was. But anyway, if they do a new incarnation of Bane, Bautista was made for that role. Literally made for it. I couldn't think of a better actor that would fit a role. I mean, the guy actually... it's probably not going to happen. I think it's more or less been said it's not happening, but what a missed opportunity. Top 5 90s movies. Gosh, man, where do I start with that? I'd go Point Break, Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, and there's 8,000 other great 90s movies. I'm going to go with the 4. The 5th one, it could be 15 other movies. I'm just going to go with 4 right now. Oh, I'm stupid. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. That's my 5th. That's my 5th and final pick. Could Pulp Fiction be replaced with something else? Maybe something I'm not thinking of, but I'm going to go with those 5 right now. 1, 2, 3, Rock Fan. What activity would you put in a horror movie to freak people out that hasn't been done before? Like what Psycho did for showers, Jaws for swimming? That is a glorious question. And the question is now, how dark and morbid do I want to get? I definitely think there's something interesting you could do with fast food. And what I mean by that is, I'm just saying, whenever I go to a fast food restaurant, there's a 50% chance, or at least in my mind, that my food has rat turds in it. It was dropped on the floor. Someone spit and sneezed in it. And so that's my assumption always. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, when I go through the fast food drive-thru, I try not to look in the window, because every time I do, I just see some dude with hairy forearms wearing no gloves handling food, and then he hands it to me, and I have to go home and eat that. So I try not to, I don't even look in the window anymore. I just look straight at my windshield, and then they hand me the food, and I say thank you, and then I drive away. That's the only way I can consume fast food at this point in my life. So if I did a horror film, I think, I don't want to make this the main plot, but I think there's room for a subplot of a fast food worker who's tainting the food. I think there's something you could do there. And that, to me, would be glorious, because the way that you frighten audiences is you make it relatable. You make it something that happens in your everyday life. That when you watch it up on the big screen, it instantly connects with you. So if there was something disgusting going on in my horror film, that directly related to fast food that could happen in any fast food facility across the United States or wherever, I think that gross out factor would get into everyone's mind. You know, like you said, like Jaws. Everyone goes swimming, everyone goes somewhere, and every time you go into the ocean, you're thinking, oh, is a great white shark going to just eat me in half? So I would do something with fast food. And speaking of that, I did get Burger King earlier tonight, and it was glorious. It was delicious. And once again, I did not make eye contact with anyone inside because I just know I know they picked up my food off the floor or from a bucket of swampy mop water and just handed it to me. But it tasted delicious, you know, out of sight, out of mind. And that's the name of my horror film. Out of sight, out of mind. There you go, Netflix. A $100 million idea just given to you. Take it. What do? You make Extraction Part 5. All right. The next one comes from Seth Hall. Am I the only one that thought the villain from Guardians 3 was basically Sid from Toy Story with more of a god complex? I really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed the movie too. It actually felt like a real movie. And you know what the best thing about Guardians 3 was for Marvel? It had characters that you gave a shit about. Every character in that film had a likability, their time to shine. You connected with them. You had an emotional investment. And that's why everything in that movie that they did mattered and had weight to it. So I will agree with you. I do think the villain in Guardians 3, well, in a way, sort of, he wanted to make the perfect society, the perfect civilization. But he was also a sociopath. And those two things never mix. How can you make a society of people when you don't care about people? It's sort of a weird thing. I don't know. I was going to make another statement about something else, but I won't go there. But yeah, it was good. And plus, I liked that the villain's face in Guardians 3, he sort of had like a RoboCop thing going on with his face all stapled back. Great stuff. And thanks for the question, Seth. Carter Lovejoy, how's it going, buddy? Any hopes when we'll get the official announcement for Avatar 1 and 2 on 4K Blu-ray? I believe that there was an announcement that those are coming at some point this summer. I swear I read that somewhere. That they will in fact be happening this summer or late summer. I think there was a leak I read somewhere. So I think this summer. Anyway, let's continue on here. I'm hoping it's very soon. I need the 4K plus 3D Blu-ray plus bonus features disc combo pack for both films. Yeah, I like all that good stuff too. You know, after watching, like I said, after watching Avatar 2 again on streaming, I'm kind of not in a rush to watch it again on 4K. But will I eventually pick it up on 4K? Yes, I will, obviously. But I've also heard True Lies and The Abyss are coming very soon to 4K. So, hopefully soon. Plus Titanic. By the way, I watched Titanic again for probably the 123rd time the other night. It was a good going to bed movie. There's nothing better than a historic disaster film that just puts you to sleep. All right, the next one comes from Ben Affleck has a shitty movie out called Hypnotic. I have not seen that yet. Maybe I won't ever watch it, but judging on your opinion of it, it doesn't sound very good. Percival back once again. John, do you think Highway Evolutionary was a better villain? Oh, did I just say Highway Evolutionary? John, do you think the High Evolutionary was a better villain than King? Yes, I do. I don't think King is a very interesting villain. And the fact that there were some domestic disputes going on with the actor, I'm curious to see going forward what they do with Kang. I would be honestly fine with if Marvel just scrapped Kang, flush that shit down the toilet, and started from scratch with another villain that was actually interesting. That would be fine by me. I have no interest in Kang. None. Zero. I think what we got from Ant-Man Quantumania, though that was one variant of Kang, I think that was enough. I'm like, okay, that was a variant of a guy who was sort of boring, and I don't care to see another variant of a boring guy. How many versions of this boring one-dimensional fucking guy are you going to give us? I don't care. I don't care. So, yes, I think High Evolutionary was a better villain. And the thing I liked about High Evolutionary as a villain was he was sinister. He was pure evil. There was no arc. He had his motivation. He stated it. And that was it. That was his purpose. That's all you need sometimes. Hungry Movie Buff. Hey, John. Love the videos. Well, thanks, man. What are your thoughts on No Country for Old Men? Oh, I love that shit. You know, a funny thing about that movie is first time I watched it was in 2016. And for some reason, I just didn't watch it when it originally came out. I think it came out, 2007? Yeah, and when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, that was everything I loved. I love that slow burn of those movies. I like slow burn movies. Also, another type of movie I like is a cat and mouse chase movie. And that's exactly what No Country for Old Men was. Also, Javier Bardem in that film. Speaking of sociopaths with High Evolutionary, great sociopath. And what a standout villain. See, put Javier Bardem's villain in No Country for Old Men, make him the next Marvel villain. That's all you need. He has a fucking air can with a cow killing prod. That's all you need. There you go. There's the villain I want to see. But no, I love No Country for Old Men. Phenomenal film. Can you give my movie YouTube channel a shout out at Hungry Movie Buff? Well, check out Hungry Movie Buff, everyone. Go check that shit out right now. Are you in fact hungry? And if so, why haven't you eaten? No, the one thing I do want to talk about for No Country for Old Men is the movie does take place in the early 1980s. And the one subplot of the film is there's a tracking device in a briefcase full of money. And the tracking device is fairly small and hidden in the briefcase. But if you go back and look at technology of tracking devices in the early 1980s, I know this shit's getting really nerdy right now, but the smallest tracking device you could have in the early 1980s would have been like the size of a cinder block. That's the one issue I have with the movie. I'm just being stupid, but that is true. Don't ask how I know that. Percival, yeah, it's called Stuber. Yeah, the Uber movie I was talking about with Bautista earlier is called Stuber. Bautista is bad in Riddick, but he has come a long way since. I don't even remember him in Riddick. But then he goes on to Blade Runner 2049, and there you go. Ooh, yeah, someone said 7 for 90s movies picks. Yeah, I think the 90s had the best variety of movies. They had the action, they had the drama, they had the adventure, they had the drama. They had the best selection. And if I had to pick any decade to live in for movies, or like if I could only watch one decade of movies for the rest of my life, it would easily be the 90s. Would you rather see Nightcrawler 4K on digital streaming if it never gets a 4K disc release? I mean, I guess, but I would love that shit to hit 4K. Nightcrawler's, I think, arguably my favorite movie of all time. And I know it's not like the best movie of all time. Objectively speaking, I wouldn't say it's the best movie of all time. But subjectively, though, for me, it feels like a movie that was made for me. And yes, I want that shit to hit 4K. One day, please. Maybe I need to tweet the director of that movie and see if it's getting a 4K release or something. Fidel Reyes, how's it going? Just finished editing videos for work. This is a pleasant surprise to relax to. Well, thanks for that. And with all that said, you're listening to the soothing sounds of the Flick Pick 101 at 12:29 a.m. All right, all you beboppers, let's go to the next question. Why do fast food spots hire dudes with hairy arms? It's a weird phenomenon, isn't it? The hairier your knuckles are, the more prone you are to working in the food industry. Odd, isn't it? And you just know the hair from their forearms, it comes off and goes into the fries. You know it's in there. It has to be. Your name here says, hey, John, I'm like you, haven't seen Yellowstone. What's your favorite Kevin Costner role? Besides Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Waterworld, my favorite Kevin Costner role, I mean, Field of Dreams is good. I mean, Costner's been in some good stuff, man. I mean, and in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, the dude does not even attempt an English accent. Doesn't even attempt it. Doesn't even try. But for me, my favorite Costner movie is, in fact, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It's just the adventure, the buddy team up with him and Morgan Freeman. Christian, I'll save you when I want to. And the Sheriff of Nottingham, just chewing up the scenery in that movie. It's beautiful. Alan Rickman, man, is the Sheriff of Nottingham. God, glorious movie. Not enough people have seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and my recommendation to you is, if you haven't, go watch that shit right now. I'm pretty sure it's on HBO Max. And it has a great score. Also, it has a music by Bryan Adams. Oh, good stuff. The next one also comes from your name here. Pigeon Lady's meth-addicted, rotten-toothed boyfriend. Who's that? I'm sure she had that on the streets. I don't know. I mean, if you're covered in bird shit, I'm sure smoking meth isn't, beyond the realm of reality. In your opinion, which is better, Terminator or Terminator T2? I gotta go with T2. I know a lot of people say Terminator because they like the horror vibe of it. I think it's a great movie. It's definitely like a low-budget sci-fi flick that did everything it possibly could with what it had. But T2, man, when you go with the scope and the tone and the sequences, there's like 5 action scenes that I would say, or I don't even want to belittle them and call them scenes. There's 5 action events that happened in T2 Judgment Day that still hold up today, if not better than anything they could do today. And the thing is, they did 99% of them with practical effects. Beyond the liquid metal T-1000 stuff, I mean, there's a scene in T2 Judgment Day where they blow up a building. They fly a helicopter under a bridge. They flip over a tanker truck. It's just, these things have lived on since the early 90s. And every time I watch it, I'm still blown away, more so by the fact that modern day cinema cannot replicate or duplicate what that movie did 30 years ago. It's almost like a timeless movie. It's like James Cameron made that as good as he possibly could. When I watch T2 Judgment Day, not only do I think it's the best action film ever made, but it's one of those films that if you were to read the screenplay, I don't think there's a better director that could have brought that movie to life. I don't think there's anything that you could do better. Actually, okay. Now let me recant that statement just briefly. There is one sequence in T2 that I think they could do slightly better. All right? And maybe this is a nitpick, but if you watch T2 Judgment Day, after Sarah Connor and John Connor and the T-800 escape from the mental institution Sarah Connor is being held at, where they narrowly escape death from the T-1000, when they're driving down the road and Arnold is driving the car, the background scenery, which was done with rear projection technology, which is basically they just project the images on the background to make it look like they're driving down the road in a car. That footage is oddly shaky and looks really shitty. That is my only technical nitpick with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Other than that, near perfect movie. So I hope that was a fulfilling answer to your question. And now, let's move on. Why? Now promise me you're not going to kill anyone. Why? Easy money. All right. Well, hey, man, there's a beverage here. Yes, Percival, there is. Your name here says... By the way, let me jump over here. Make sure I wasn't missing anyone's questions. All right. Sorry, guys. Ooh, why is this not updating? Sorry. I'm trying to figure out my thingy-majigger and it's not updating. That is not good. Huh. All right. Well, I'm trying not to miss anyone's questions here. Okay. Weird. Okay. See if I can fix that. Mickey C says, click for John. Gets Woody instead. I like it. Well, you'll always have a friend in me. The next one comes from your name here. Twisters won't be the same without Paxton. Or Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her bad. It's the suck zone. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to the sequel to Twister, known as Twisters. Hopefully it's a fun summertime blockbuster event. But yeah, I feel like it won't be the same. And there's something about modern day movies that just have this like flat, sterile look to them. They just don't have like this grit. And most of that grit was from actually filming movies of film. But yeah, just like the new Indiana Jones movie. You know, I watched a clip of that today and it just looked like digital flatness. And it just looked overly color graded. And I was just like, ugh. It just, ugh. Like, add some grain to that shit, man. But I agree. I'm hoping the new Twisters movie is good. The next one comes from Percival once again. Are you going to watch Fast X? Yeah, Fast X comes out, next week or something? Oh, I don't want to watch it. To be honest with you, I don't want to watch it. I don't. It really looks like a waste of 2 hours of my life. And as far as the previous Fast and Furious movie goes, I think I watched 32 minutes of it, and I was like, this is an abomination against humanity. It's just the most convoluted movie, and there was like a sequence where they have all this backstory with Dom Toretto on the racetrack, and it was just like, who gives a shit? Anyway, I'll watch it, but I don't want to. And speaking of new movies, I am going to watch The Little Mermaid tomorrow. I'm going to a screening of The Little Mermaid tomorrow. I'm driving an hour and 45 minutes to watch it. Listen, when it comes to Disney classics, The Little Mermaid isn't one of my favorites. I liked it. It was okay. Am I looking forward to the live action adaptation? Not really. I'm hoping it blows me away and maybe I can come out of the theater and say it was really good. Maybe. I don't feel like I'm going to be able to say that, but I'm going to see it tomorrow, so I'll let you guys know. If you want that first reaction, definitely follow me on Instagram. I will post that there. Thoughts on Hell or High Water? Great movie. That's a great bank robbery movie. And Ben Foster, he always plays a great coked out of his mind, like on the edge type of dude. You just don't know what he's going to do. All right. Why is this not updating? What is going on here? Huh. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Let's find it. Night King 01, how's it going, man? The other thing about No Country for Old Men is that most of the guns in it didn't exist yet. Anton's shotgun didn't come out until 7 years later. Then again, would be pretty boring with only bolt rifles. What do you mean they didn't? I mean, in the early 80s they had shotguns, so I can overlook things like that. But that, I mean, I'm sure it's somewhat accurate to some degree. I don't know. I mean, they had rifles in the early 80s. I mean, they've had assault rifles and various guns since the Second World War. Didn't they have machine guns? Yeah, they had. I don't know. Whatever. I can overlook that detail. I'm still stuck on the tracking device. David says, did my Streamlabs donation and message work, John? Yeah, so I'm actually having some issues right now with the Streamlabs tab right now. So it's like it's paused. It's not updating. And it's not working on here. So let me give it a little refresh. Yeah, it's not working. So what I'll do is if I missed any of the questions from Streamlabs tonight, I will definitely hit them up next time we do a live show first thing. But yeah, the mini feed for all those questions is not working, and I don't know why. Yeah. So I will try to fix that next time if I don't get it working here. I'm sorry for that. Okay, the next one comes from 123 Rock Fan. Do you like going to music concerts? Favorites? So let me tell you something about me. I hate music concerts. I hate them. I don't like them. Something about going to watch live music to me is boring. I don't want to stand there and physically like do this or anything for 3 hours. When I listen, to me, music sounds best in my car when I'm driving down the road, or when I'm mowing the grass, or when I'm just at home listening to it. I don't like live music. I get why some people do, but for me, live music is you're sitting there looking at them play music. Okay. No, I need to be physically doing something, not in a stadium looking at people play the guitar. And plus, I'm going to be honest, music live doesn't sound good. I know this is an argument I'm sure someone else would love to debate me on, but live music sounds blurry. It sounds off key. The timing is usually off. It sounds better in your car. That's where music sounds best. But if you want to be there listening to it and feel the pulse pounding bass, I guess, in a sea of people that smell like BO and they're knocking into you, I don't know. I can't watch live music for 3 hours. Something about it. I don't know. Not for me. I like music. I just don't want to go look at it being played. Is that a weird thing? I don't know. The next one comes from 1901 says, exit out and go back in. Yeah, so I can't do that because this is my streaming software. So if I exit out of my streaming software, the live show will in fact end. So I can't. And I don't know why it's not updating. What's this do? Okay. Oh, that was a record button. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, if I missed your Streamlabs question, I will definitely hit it up next time, first thing. And I'm sorry for that. I don't know why it's not updating. Maybe it's mad at me for not doing a live show for the last couple of weeks. The next one comes from MKF30, who's been a member for 24 glorious fucking months. Thank you for that. Nice hat, John. Thoughts on Carl Urban as Johnny Cage? Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. Yeah, okay, fine. That works for me. Good casting choice. If he just puts on some muscle mass, yeah, I'm completely content with Carl Urban being Johnny Cage in the new Mortal Kombat movie. I would assume they'd probably go for someone a little younger than Carl Urban, but I think he would be a believable Hollywood action type dude to play the character Johnny Cage. Just kick someone in the nut or hit someone in the nuts and do a fatality. I'll be happy. Yeah, that's a good casting choice. Shut Up Cat Production says, hey, Brokeback Flick Pick. Hey, yeah. Yeah, this is, I'm actually at Jake Gyllenhaal tonight, everyone. How's it going? Yeah, no, if you missed the opening of the live show, this is because Yellowstone Season 5 was sent to me on Blu-ray. So I haven't watched Yellowstone yet. I've heard it's really good. So at one point in life, I will eventually get to this. Holy shit. I just realized this Yellowstone belt buckle that they sent me costs $50. This costs $50. All right. Let's see. Does anyone want to buy this for $49.99? My PayPal is down below. All right. I will sign it and send it to you. The next one comes from... Sorry, let's update the chat here. Mickey C, who's been a member for 8 months. How's it going, Mickey C? Did you see that Fast X dropped a 4.5 minute long trailer today? What the F are they thinking? Also, Which is your favorite Fast movie? Probably, I like the first one quite a bit because it feels like Point Break. I have a guilty pleasure love for the third movie because I like that they go to Tokyo. It's just different and fun. And I think after that, Fast 5 was like the over-the-top superhero-esque Fast and Furious movie, but it still had like subtleties to it where it didn't become super... I don't want to say self-indulgent. I want to say a little too over-the-top to the point where you just don't want to look at it. And the fact that they released a 4.5-minute trailer for a Fast and Furious movie. First of all, let's keep it real. Fast and Furious movies the truth is these are made for people who have short attention spans. Like, that's what these movies are. They're not highbrow art, okay? They don't necessitate needing a 3-hour runtime. There's not much story to be told here, okay? It's fucking family and fast cars. We get it. We know. So the fact that they released a 4.5-minute trailer for a Fast and Furious movie, when the movie itself could in fact be 4.5 minutes long, is really interesting, isn't it? It's like, who has the attention span to watch that? I don't think the key demo for those movies do. I mean, the key demo for those movies just want to see a 13-second teaser clip with Vin Diesel saying family and a car blowing up. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to go see the new Fast and Furious movie. There's nothing that they can put in a trailer to sell you on a Fast and Furious movie. You're either going to see it or you're not going to see it. You're either family or you're not. Okay, that's the only two options when it comes to those movies. Someone said Brokeback Mountain is woke. Oh. I mean, not how? Why is it woke? It's about two gay men suppressing their love for each other, living in alternative lifestyles, and they're never happy. They can never be who they truly want to be because society won't let them. Shut Up Cat Productions says, most you've ever won on a lotto ticket. I don't think I've ever won a lotto ticket. Maybe a scratch-off ticket, maybe like $10. That's probably the max. Telling you right now, if I hit the lottery, I'm buying the Batmobile. It depends how much I win. But I will be buying the Batmobile, the Tumbler. I will shoot all my YouTube videos with a 4K Red Dragon Epic camera. And I will also have all of my YouTube videos directed by Christopher Nolan. All right, the next one comes from David. How's it going, David? Hey, John, what are your favorite Pixar films? Besides the Toy Story movies, I like The Incredibles quite a bit. Finding Nemo's pretty good. A lot of the newer Pixar films, though I think they're good, they don't have much rewatchability for me. Like Ratatouille, not a lot of rewatchability. Movies like Up, I don't have a lot of rewatchability for me. It's something about the first 10 years of Pixar, like Monsters Inc., for example, you know. But yeah, I'd say my overall favorite has to be Toy Story. My least favorite Pixar films are the ones where they just have what was the I forget. I did a review for it. Why can I not remember what it's called? It's the one about emotions. I just could never rewatch that again. It's been a while since I've seen it. Night King 01 says, in the new Fast X trailer, Dom Toretto drove down the Hoover Dam in the trailer. My brother started laughing so hard he started screeching. Yeah, it's at a point where I get it. I get what they're going for. They want to jump the shark every 12 seconds in those movies. I just wish his brakes went out and he crashed and blew up. I don't know, man. It's just, those movies haven't been the same since Paul Walker passed away. They just haven't. The franchise died with Paul Walker. Yeah, I would do 8K YouTube videos, even though they compress 4K videos and make them look like 720p. I like WALL-E a lot. You know, the thing is, I like the first act of WALL-E, and then I don't really care once they're aboard the floating cruise ship. with everyone being obese. I like the first act. If Wall-E could have just been about Wall-E on Earth cleaning up trash, I would have liked that movie. I don't know why. That would have relaxed me. Just the solitude of a little robot on Earth. I wanted more time with that. Percival says, John, who is the worst actor ever and why is it Vin Diesel? Well, it's Vin Diesel, I would say. That or Steven Seagal. Inside Out. Yeah, that's the Pixar movie I'm thinking of. Lee B. Film says, McLovin or Mr. Chow spinoff film? Let's go with the McLovin. I think McLovin could have his own spinoff movie. Or, you know what? Here's an idea. Hear me out. This could work as a series. A McLovin series, but with McLovin now in his 30s. Imagine that. It could be in the same, like, vibe of something like, I don't know. Not like The Office, but something like that. That sort of comedy. And that sort of tone. Imagine just a day in the life of McLovin, working his normal job. He's 30-something years old now, living life. You know, that actually could be a series. Shut Up Cat Production says, favorite vacation spot? I don't go on vacation, man. My favorite vacation spot's Costco. Anywhere warm and relaxing, that's a cool vacation spot for me. But the thing is, when you go to a nice, warm, tropical location, after you lay on the beach for a day, you go, okay, what now? So that I don't know. And I don't like people. I don't want to be around a lot of people, so I don't know what I want to do. I want to be secluded somewhere tropical. How's that? I don't go on vacation. I'm poor. Fidel Ray says, Tokyo Drift should have been about Paul Walker infiltrating the Yakuza since he rejoined the FBI after Too Fast, Too Furious. That could have been a cool movie. That's a good concept. That actually could work. But I don't think Vin Diesel or Paul Walker wanted to be in the third installment of Tokyo Drift. I think they wanted to make that cheap as they could, but keep the name Fast and Furious. I think that's what was going on with that movie. I mean, I guess Vin Diesel's at the very end of the movie, but it felt so obligatory. Nike01 says Fast and Furious is now less realistic than Transformers. At least robots took damage in that. Yeah, you're right. Like, people couldn't fall off a building in Transformers and live, but in Fast and Furious, they can. You're right. That is true. That is a good point. I'm gonna take that point and use it at some point. Thank you for that. Joe Daglish. Anyway, here it goes, Joel. What's a movie sequel that you forgot about? Man. What's a movie sequel I forgot about? Well, I mean, if I forgot about it, it's going to be hard to remember it right now, isn't it? Oh, God. It's Bad Santa 2. There you go. It came out. It happened. No one ever talked about it again. There you go. There's a sequel. Excuse me. And why is it all the car sequels from Pixar are absolutely atrociously bad? I mean, the first one wasn't very good, but yeah, I'm gonna go Bad Santa 2. That was a sequel. Night King 01 back again with some Fast and Furious shit. You know, Fast 11 and 12 are happening, right? They are making it a trilogy. Yes, they are. Even talking about it is making my brain want to drip out of my ear. Shut Up Cat Production says, what fictional character should you let peg you? I mean, gosh, you'd have to go with someone of muscular fortitude, wouldn't you? What fictional character, though? I'm trying to give you a good answer here. I don't know. How about Just because it would be funny looking. How about RoboCop? The moon looks lovely this afternoon. And the sound effects. I miss the Coen brothers making movies. Yeah, if the Coen brothers made a new movie every week, life would be perfect, wouldn't it? Lee B. Film says, worst edited film you've ever seen. Holy shit. Where do I start with that? I mean, besides the obvious ones, like The Room or something, there was a movie that came out in 2007, I think, and it had Lindsay fucking Lohan in it. Lindsay Lohan movies. Don't ask why I remember this. What was it? Is it? I know who. Is it this? Yes. Okay. I Know Who Killed Me. I vaguely remember this movie, but what I do remember most about it was so shittily edited. I remember there was one scene, and I'm hoping it's this movie. By the way, it has a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is about 9% too high. I remember there was a scene where Lindsay Lohan had a pimple on her face, and in the next cut of the scene at a different angle, it was gone. So I don't know, something about that always stuck in my mind. So that's that terrible, terrible movie. So I'll go with that. The next one comes from Mickey C. Vin Diesel slaps you on the bum. What do? You take it like a man. And if he says family, you take it even more. 1901 says Quantum of Solace is the most disappointing movie ever. Even as a kid, I felt like 3 hours went by and I was bored, and it was an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, it was. Quantum of Solace was a bastardized sequel, and most of that was done during the writer's strike, by the way, which we have another one. Did that end, or is the writer's strike still happening? Either way, that was done during the writer's strike, and you can tell. And you can tell they were just trying to shit out a sequel because they had to. And it's an hour and 40 minutes long. It's a James Bond movie. What does that tell you? It was an obligation. Shut Up Cat Production says, if you could make a cartoon movie, what would it be? Who, a cartoon movie? I don't know, man. But, speaking of that, the intros. Do you guys remember 1980s and 1990s movies when they had animated intros where it had like animated characters doing things? I remember in the first Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, it had an animated intro. I always really enjoyed that. I wish they would bring that back. I miss that. If I made a modern day comedy movie, it would definitely have an illustrated animated intro. Also, I want to say the intro to oh God, what is it? God, why can I'm sorry guys, it's been a few weeks and this bright light is giving me a migraine. What is the movie where their uncle is dead and they drag his dead body around? I'm sorry, the fact I can't remember what this is called. Weekend at Bernie's. Oh my God, how did I forget the name of that? Let me slap myself on the wrist as punishment. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's. I believe that had like an animated, illustrated intro, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, though. But I miss those. All right, the next one comes from Bruce Cook. How's it going, Bruce? Hi, John. You probably already discussed it, but do you think the live-action Little Mermaid will be a success or a bomb? Well, I think it'll make some money. I mean, anything Disney with name recognition, especially made for little girls, will make money. Look at things like Frozen or any princess movie with any name recognition. It does typically well because right now there is sort of a void theatrically for this genre, and parents want to take their little kids to see something in theaters, and I think right now is the perfect time for this because we don't have anything like this. We don't have a little Princess Kids movie right now in cinemas. So yeah, I think it'll do very well. Will the movie be good? I don't know. My biggest complaint with The Little Mermaid, though, just watching the trailers, are the visuals. The visuals of it look gloomy and like slightly desaturated, and it just looks dull and flat. Pretty much like most modern day movies, but just up the saturation a little bit. Give me some bright, vivid blue ocean sequences. It's a live action movie based on an animated movie. Make it look fun and vibrant. If Avatar can do it, why can't your live action Disney movie do it? Make that shit vivid. Why not? Why do you have to make it look all dull and flat? It looks like it wasn't color graded yet. So I don't know. That's my biggest complaint with it, just based on the trailers. Fidel Ray says, I remember the animated intro to National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yeah, that is another great one. Yes, where he's hanging up the Christmas lights and it shows him sledding and all that. Yeah, another great intro. Shut Up Cat Production says, hate to ask, whatever happened to your top 10 movies 2022 bad list? You know what it was? I went to make it. I had it written out, and the time just felt like it'd come and gone. That's really, I had 10 movies I hated, and I remember Morbius was on the list, and I don't know. It just felt like the time had passed. So that's what happened. Maybe, you know what? Maybe the next live show, how about I just open it up and I give you my top 10 worst movies of 2022 6 months after the fact? How's that? Would that make you happy? Maybe I'll just do that. No edits, no cuts. I'll just do it live. It's probably what I should have done in the first place. Zepsi Cinema, how's it going? It pisses me off that indie is shot digital. I know some digital movies look great, but even those would look better on film. Directors must understand. It's all about money and time. You can shoot digital, it's quicker, it's cheaper, you don't have to load film stock, you don't have issues with film stock, the cameras are easier to maneuver, it's just a lot of technical things that make it easier to make a movie. And most modern day audiences, generally speaking, don't give a shit. They prefer the look of a digital movie. Oh, it's so crisp and clean and flat and fucking dull looking. I hate it. I love movies shot on film with that grain feel like it has a heart. It has a pulse to it. So yeah, I would prefer, especially something like Indiana Jones. A movie that's about a guy treasure hunting and it has like that grittiness to it. And the fact that the original movies had a very gritty look to them, it is a letdown. If ever they should have if ever Disney should have made a movie with film again, the new Indiana Jones movie was the perfect movie for it. But yeah, it doesn't look good. I watched the clip today of a chase scene, and that chase scene looked so atrociously bad to me. Every close-up that they did of the characters, it looked like they were using a virtual background. And if you don't know what that is, it's the same background technology they use for series like Mandalorian, where they actually have a digital background behind. They don't use a green screen. They use an actual virtual background where they create it with, whatever effects or what have you. And they have the actor stand there. But that chase scene I saw today from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it just looks so blatantly obvious that that's what everyone was doing. And the backgrounds almost looked cartoonish. It looked like Harrison Ford was just in front of a screen going, oh, like, I don't know. It just looked bad. It really did. It didn't look up to the standard of a cinematic $250 million movie. Go watch it if you get bored. All right. Brandon Neville, how's it going, Brandon? And thank you for the very generous super chat, Brandon. And here it goes. He has 3 questions, or actually 3 questions and a statement here. Favorite horror film of all time? I always go to it, but I got to go with, for me, something that truly terrified me is Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one. Something about that film was the later installments from the franchise go a little bit over the top and fantastical, if you will, with Freddy Krueger. But man, that first installment, just scary, man. It just felt like a child predator who could haunt your dreams. And I just remember seeing that as a kid, and it's always stuck with me. So for me, the most terrifying horror film for me was always Nightmare on Elm Street. Are there better horror films that have better stories? Yeah, but that's the one I go with. The next one here is also, what film are you looking forward to the most in 2023? Oppenheimer looks pretty damn good, but oddly enough, I'm looking forward to the new Barbie movie with Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie. There's a few movies coming out this summer I'm looking forward to. I'm sort of looking forward to the new Flash movie. It looks like sort of a popcorn disposable comic book movie, yeah, but it looks like a good time. And plus, if you can give me Michael Keaton as Batman, I'll take what I can get. Those would be a few, but Oppenheimer is probably my number one movie of the summer. Actually, you know what? There's one I forgot. Sorry, my eyeball itches. Let me scratch it with this denim jacket here. Oh, that feels better. Another one would be the new Mission Impossible. I'm looking forward to that shit, actually. You know what? I'm looking forward to that. I would say Oppenheimer and Mission Impossible are my most two anticipated movies of the summer. And then you have another question here. Favorite comic book of all time? I only vaguely read comic books as a kid. I read a lot of the Batman comics. I read some of the X-Men comics back in the mid-90s. But maybe the Batman comics, because they always had a darker edge to them. And even as a kid, I preferred that. Keep up the great content, you filthy animal. Nice cowboy hat. Well, thank you for that. And keep the change, you filthy animal. And thanks, man. Thanks for the questions. Eric Wander has become a member to Welcome to Ask Me Anything. Yay. Thanks, Eric. Joel Wayne says, in The Jungle Book, the only good live action Disney remake? Yes, I would actually agree with that. I think The Jungle Book is arguably the only good live action Disney movie. And also, I would hear me out for a second. Hear me out just for 1 second. I would go as far to say I would go so far as to say the live action Jungle Book from Disney might technically be superior over the animated. I don't think the animated movie is all that great. There's some cool scenes and stuff, but I actually think the live action version, story-wise, might be slightly superior. And also, speaking of live action Jungle Book movies, did you guys ever see the mid-1990s live action Jungle Book movie that has does it have the dude who played Liu Kang in it? I forget the actor's name. Or maybe it doesn't. Anyway, that was on DVD, and it was out of print, and I remember at one time that was worth like hundreds of dollars. So if you ever find the mid-90s Jungle Book movie on DVD, keep that shit. Get it. Night King 01 says, oh, I watched Heat again on Netflix. Man, that made my top 10 movies of all time on rewatch for like the 30th time, with a great epic crime heist film. Yeah, man, Michael Mann. That was one of his, I think, cinematically speaking, that was probably Michael Mann's best looking movie, was Heat. I love the scene where they do the heist in broad daylight with the big tow truck that drives into the side of the armored vehicle and flips it over. I love that sequence. And then right after Heat, my favorite Michael Mann movie would definitely be Collateral. Eric Wonder says, is Paddington 2 the greatest movie of all time? I've never seen it. I've heard good things, but I have never seen it. And yes, I do get the Paddington 2 joke. Which movie did they use that joke in like 12 times? Which comedy movie was that? Someone remind me. Chris Solomu, how's it going, man? Joel Wayne says, I'm currently watching The Incredible Hulk from 2008. These new MCU films like Thor 4 and Quantumania make these average MCU films 10 times better. Yeah, because they had characters in them where you still gave a shit about them. And the thing is, when it comes to any story, whatever the story is, whatever the scope of the movie is, whatever the budget is, whatever big epic climax action sequences you want to throw in there with shitty green screen effects, none of that matters unless you write compelling characters that you as an audience member give a shit about. If you can't love these characters or hate the villains, then nothing else matters. And with the new MCU films, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 excluded, because I think that was one of the best things they've done in a very long time, I don't care about anyone in Marvel films anymore. It doesn't matter anymore. No one matters. That's just how I feel. And the fact that no one can die anymore, it's just like, well, yeah, like he died, but he has 87 variants that we're going to somehow magically bring into the story. It's like, ugh. There's no real consequences anymore. Bruce Cook says, the best scene in Nightmare on Elm Street is Johnny Depp liquefied on the bedroom ceiling. At least he didn't have to share the bed with Amber Heard. Yeah, you know what? What's more terrifying than your waterbed exploding with blood is Amber Heard taking a shit in your bed. Which, by the way, she actually did that. And by the way, would you guys like to know another weird little flick fact that sort of has a personal connection with me? Is Johnny Depp's character in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, his name is Glenn Lance. That is in fact, or was in fact, my grandfather's name. So kind of a cool connection. James Gunn is a weirdo too. Yeah, kind of weird. Some of his jokes on Twitter a decade ago were a little tasteless and odd. Not necessarily, I'm all for crude humor, but sometimes there's just some humor it's just like kind of weird to put out there. But anyway, I think James Gunn is a talented director, though he is hit or miss sometimes, because I think Suicide Squad was kind of junky. Mike Cinema says, I'm here. Sorry I'm late. What did I miss? You do it. If you just joined late, just push that little bar under the video back. You can start wherever you want. You didn't miss anything. Shut Up Cat Production says, have you ever had a three-way brought to you by the letter H? No. Fidel Reyes says, Fidel, I'm sorry. I had actually a really good joke to give you with that, man, but I don't know if I can. It's a little too late for going that dark. Where was I? Oh, here we go. Joel Wayne says the Nick Cage movie. What about the Nick Cage movie? What about it? Lee B. Film says unbearable weight of massive talent. Yes, but what about it? What are we talking about? I did see it. I thought it was okay. I don't think I would ever watch it again. And the truth be told, the thing about the story with unbearable weight of massive talent was I didn't need all of the craziness where Nick Cage goes to an island and Mandalorians there. I didn't need all of that. I could have had Nicolas Cage stuck in an elevator for 3 hours, and that would have been a sufficient Nick Cage movie. We didn't need all the other fluff. Also, I would love if they made a documentary about Nicolas Cage. How has no one ever... Maybe he doesn't want to do it, but that should be made. Fidel Ray says, I'd be surprised if Fast X doesn't include a multiverse or a literal divine god at this point. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, at this point, if the heavens opened up and God was like some hillbilly car enthusiast that watches NASCAR and he endows the powers to all the Fast and Furious crew to now they're all Marvel superheroes. I don't know. Who gives a shit? I don't know. The movie looks fucking atrocious. I don't want to watch it, but I will. Bruce Cook says best Stephen King adaptation, worst Stephen King adaptation. For me, I think the two best Stephen King adaptations are probably the non-horror elemental ones, which would be Shawshank Redemption and Stand By Me, based on The Body. I think those are... I know Shawshank was based on a novella or whatever, but I think those are the two best for me. I'm sure you could make the argument for another Stephen King movie. The worst one might be Maximum Overdrive, which Stephen King himself, in fact, directed, which is sort of a guilty pleasure movie for me. I want to take edibles one day and watch Maximum Overdrive. But thanks for the question, Bruce Cook. Yeah, okay, sorry guys. Yes. Joel Wayne, the Paddington 2 joke was an unbearable weight of massive talent. Thank you. Sometimes if I ask a question and someone answers it 5 minutes later, I can't connect the two. It's just, we've gone too far. The Obi-Wan show sucked. Kind of liked every Star Wars show, laugh aloud. Yeah, the one that was the biggest letdown was the Obi-Wan show. I will say that. You had the most to work with. You had Ewan fucking McGregor coming back to play Obi-Wan. You had everything you needed. Except for a good screenplay, a story, production quality, and everything else that goes into making a quality show. You didn't have any of that. But they still said, fuck it, greenlight it, let's put it out there. Because why? Money! You know, the tone of Obi-Wan should have been more like Andor. Slightly more serious, a little bit somber. Get rid of little Princess Leia in there being like a little annoying kid or whatever. And it should have been a more serious, somber tone. And it could have been everything, like it could have been phenomenal. But yeah, they definitely dropped the ball on that one. Like, have you ever met anyone who said, oh, I loved the Obi-Wan series. It's my favorite series. Sometimes I go back and rewatch it. I've never heard that. Never. And by the way, guys, don't leave a Streamlabs question today. For some reason, my software is not working right, so I can only see Super Chats, and I'm sorry for that. I will fix it. If you did post one, I will try to update this and answer them on the next live show. Mickey C says, do you think we'll ever get another iconic Christmas movie? That's a great question, because great Christmas movies are so few and far between, aren't they? Like, there's like 5 great Christmas movies that I always go back to. And beyond that, it's like, yeah, everything else is kind of like a little bit meandering at best. It feels like a dead genre in the modern world, even though there's so many classics from the 80s and 90s. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, I don't know if Christmas movies do well theatrically anymore. You know, and you have to understand, Hollywood is a business, right? And it's run by these guys who just do mathematical equations. And whenever you have a Christmas movie or a holiday movie, you have such a small window. Okay, you have a Christmas movie. Okay, let's put it out in November. And by December 25th or 26th, no one gives a shit about the Christmas movie anymore. And by the way, here's this cool, great Christmas movie that we made. But if we put it on Blu-ray or streaming in January or February, it's all about Christmas. Who the fuck is going to want to watch it or buy it? So that's the phenomenon with holiday movies. It's the shelf life is very short. They expire very quickly, unless you make a timeless classic like Home Alone, for example. So yeah, I think that's why we're getting very few of them nowadays. But who needs new Christmas or holiday movies when you have Jingle All the Way and Home Alone 1 and 2? That's all you need. Percival says, what is your favorite serial killer detective film, John? Well, I would go with Silence of the Lambs, which is a great serial killer detective movie. Girl with a Dragon Tattoo would be another great one. Movies like Seven is another one I'd have to go with. You got Zodiac. Those are a few. I'm sure there's a few others I'm not thinking of. If you watch the first season of True Detective, that's a great serial killer detective show. If you're in the mood. Those are a few of my favorites. I'm sure there's a few I'm forgetting, but... Oh, another one is like Red Dragon, which is a prequel to Silence of the Lambs, which I just watched for the 28th time the other day. Faisal Haiti says, I agree. Shooting films with digital is lazy and flat. But why does Roger Deakins' work look so special than the rest? He's also into digital too. Yes, sometimes digital can look good. Now, if you look at films like Blade Runner 2049 or Sicario, right? There's a way to do digital. There's a way to present it. There's a way to light it so it doesn't look flat and lifeless and dull. I mean, cinematography goes a long way in films. How you frame a shot, how you color grade it. Yes, those can make up for digital films. And also keep in mind, sometimes a little bit of digital grain is added every once in a while, but yeah, it comes down to direction and cinematography. Those things do help, but there are certain films that just feel like they should have been made with film. You know, if you go back to any movie, like here would be the true test. Go back and watch any classic like 90s action movie, right? And I wish you could do this, but you can't. But imagine something like, just for example, something like Speed from 1994. That was shot on film. Imagine that being shot on digital. It just would not feel the same. It wouldn't have the same look or feel or vibe to it. It would just feel like just another action movie. You know what? I'll give you a better example. And I'm not sure if this is accurate or not. I don't know if it's true. Were the Matrix sequels shot on film or were they shot digital? I want to say they were shot digital. I could be wrong. I know the newest one had to have been shot digital. Matrix, Kill Your Erection. But anyway, just go look at the first Matrix film, right? And then look at the following installments. Or at least look at the newest installment. And just look visually. Look at the visual of that. Same director, same characters, shitty script with the newest one, but one has a pulse and a heartbeat and it has vitality to it. And the other one just looks like dead on arrival. Joseph Knoll says, have you seen the Wall-E gay pop figure? I have not. Mickey C says, I can see people commenting decent modern Christmas movies. I'm talking about classics like Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, the ones that keep going back to. Absolutely. I don't think there's very many modern day Christmas movies that are good. Someone says Nick Cage in the Family Man Christmas movie. Yeah, that's okay, but I wouldn't say that's like a Christmas classic. Dahmer. Yeah, another good serial killer show on Netflix. That's one of the better Netflix series in a long time. Percival says, have you seen The Covenant with Jake Gyllenhaal? The Covenant. The Covenant. Why does that sound so... No, I haven't seen his new movie. No. I haven't seen it. I've heard mixed things on it. I have not seen it, though. Did you like it? Was it good? Also, speaking of other serial killer detective movies, Prisoners. There's another good one. Here's Eric Wonder with this question. Worst Nicolas Cage movie. Mine is the USS Indianapolis. Such a good real-life event that was butchered by Mario Van Peebles. Yeah, man. That was another one of those straight to DVD. We have a budget of like $1 million and 90% of the budget goes to Nicolas Cage's salary. Yeah. I never watched it, but truly atrocious. Yes. There's probably like 28 other Nicolas Cage direct-to-DVD movies that are worse than that. And all of them have his terribly photoshopped face on them. I don't know what it is. Like, how do you have a budget of like $1 million or $2 million to make your straight-to-DVD movie, but you can't hire some graphic designer and pay him $100 to make a presentable cover for your DVD? Like, if you're going to put that shit in the $5 bin at Walmart, if that is the objective of where you're going to sell your movie, make a good cover. Make a cover that actually looks like it was created by competent people and not some kid that just learned Photoshop 3 days ago. Carson says Evil Dead Rises is 10 times better than the 2013 movie. I'm going to disagree with that. I think Evil Dead Rises was instantly forgettable. It was a competently well-made movie where the Australian actors couldn't hide their accents whatsoever because Danny! That's how people were saying that the name Danny. They were supposed to be American, keep in mind, but Danny! Like, it just... Someone should have been on set helping them with their accents. But yeah, it was okay. Mike Snow says Mindhunter 1986 is so underrated. I'm not a big fan of Mindhunter 1986. That was the what is the actor's name who played the original Hannibal Lecter? Anyway, wasn't a big fan. And I think Anthony Hopkins overshadowed that performance so much so that no one remembers the original Mindhunter from Michael Mann. Lee B. Films says, I want comedy films to come back. Well, the issue is, and you know the new Jennifer Lawrence comedy movie, whatever that's called, where she basically plays a prostitute? That looks like it has testicular fortitude. And what I mean by that is it looks like they went for it in that movie. They weren't afraid who they offended, why they offended them. And I think I will appreciate that movie just because it's not afraid to offend people. And that's the problem with modern day comedy movies. We're trying to appease everyone while we appease no one. Because no one can take a joke anymore. It's a sad reality that we live in. And the truth is, the people who are most offended by these dark, crude jokes are the same people who wouldn't go watch these comedy movies in the first place. So why are we trying to cater to people who can't take a joke, don't know how to laugh, and won't see the movie anyway? Who cares? Get some you know what? Make the worst crude comedy movie of all time, and all the backlash will just be free marketing. That would be my motto. A dodgeball sequel is long overdue. You know what? I could if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That's my motto. So yeah, absolutely. Fidel Reyes, John, sorry I can't send a super chat my account, but one more question. What do you think of Stallone making a sequel to Cliffhanger? It shouldn't be my first choice, but I'll take it. You know, at this point, I think you can make a cool Cliffhanger sequel because the intense sequences of watching people dangling on the side of cliffs, I think that will never get old, and I think there's room for a sequel for the original Cliffhanger. What it is, I don't know. But I could dig that. Absolutely. And if you shoot it with like IMAX cameras and you get some really cool angles and they do certain things, or maybe there's some shots in the new Cliffhanger movie where they do like, for lack of a better term, like POV, like GoPro shots where you actually feel like you're in the action for a second. I think that would be kind of a cool take on it to give it a different experience. Yeah, I think it could be cool. Do we need a Cliffhanger sequel? Probably not. But talking about climbing mountains and intense action sequences, let me tell you an underrated movie that no one talks about anymore, but it's pretty entertaining. It's definitely like an adrenaline-driven thrill ride type of movie, and it's called Vertical Limit, starring Chris O'Donnell. I always enjoyed that movie. I remember seeing it in theaters, and it put me on the edge of my seat. So check out Vertical Limit sometime if you're bored. Definitely a good rainy night movie. We got Anthony here who has become a member. Thanks, Anthony. Joseph Dole says, imagine if The Rock or Face Off were shot on digital. Yeah, man, it just wouldn't feel the same, would it? Like, look at modern day Michael Bay movies that are shot on digital. Like, you can see all of his wrongdoings. Like, the charm is gone. And you just see it as for what it is. Joseph Knowles says stuff like the Matrix sequels. Bruce Cook says the Matrix sequels just need to be shot, period. They need to be just burned. Go into the warehouse where they keep the original negatives to the Matrix sequels and just light them on fire. Then again, that probably wouldn't do much when you have 8 billion copies of it on DVD. Carson Bragg says 8mm is so underrated Nicolas Cage classic. Absolutely. 8mm. I've talked about this movie probably more than I should. Without going into much detail, 8mm is one of those movies that make you feel gross and icky and seedy inside, and it makes you trust no one. And if you have kids, it'll make you never want to have them leave your sight again. Watch 8mm. I've always enjoyed that movie. It has Joaquin Phoenix in it playing a supporting role, and it's just a gross movie. And I will say this, if I can't sell you on it with what I just said, there's a character in the film 8mm who wears a leather gimp mask, and his name is Machine. Go watch it now. It's not a family film, so go watch it alone. Okay, we got one here from Brandon Neville. How's it going, Brandon? What is the better film, The Dark Knight or Iron Man? Easily The Dark Knight for me. Easy, and by far and away the better film. From a technical standpoint to a screenplay standpoint. Don't get me wrong, Iron Man was a really good origin story. I think it encapsulated what Iron Man is. I think they did what they could with it. But man, The Dark Knight was the pinnacle. I mean, that set the bar high for comic book movies to follow. But anyway, continue on with your question here. Also, most disappointing film you went to see in theaters. Most disappointing film I went to see in theaters. I mean, I'm sure it was probably a sequel or something that was hyped up quite a bit. I mean, there's probably 100 better answers, but I will just give you the one off the top of my head. As a kid, I remember going to see Batman and Robin and thinking this did not feel like a real movie. This didn't feel like Batman because I grew up with Michael Keaton and Tim Burton Batman movies, and there was a certain tone and expectation. And then we got Batman Forever, and it was kind of weird and goofy and over the top and very Joel Schumacher-ish, but at least it like had a little bit of depth to it. But then you get Batman and Robin, and it just feels like an hour and a half toy commercial. And it just, I felt cheated as a kid. So that was a really disappointing experience for me. Also, how does Guardians of the Galaxy 3 place into your MCU list? Thanks, John, filthy animal. It's definitely up there. I think Guardians 3 is one of the better MCU films. It could possibly be in the top 10. I think I could rank it in the top 10. I mean, I can't think of a better send-off for those characters that's slightly bittersweet, but that's how life is. Life is bittersweet at times. It doesn't always go happy-go-lucky. People go different directions in life. They find their own paths eventually. And that's what they did in Guardians, and I enjoyed that aspect of it, so. And thanks for the question, man. Shut Up Cat Production says, what's the oldest movie you've ever seen? Oh, I mean, maybe Nosferatu. I mean, technically sat down and watched probably Nosferatu. I mean, I'm sure I've seen clips of an older film, maybe possibly than that, but that's the oldest one I can think of off the top of my head. Bruce Cook says Ghost Rider and its sequel. Yes. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. What an abomination against humanity. What a piece of shit movie that was. Ugh. So gross. And that was a digital movie. The only great thing about Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance is the line from Nicolas Cage where he goes, what's in the bag? A shark or something? That's it. Shut Up Cat Productions once again. What's the old... I just answered that. Sorry. Brian Cox is Hannibal Lecter. Yes, Brian Cox as Hannibal Lecter in Mindhunter from the 80s. Yeah, he was okay, but man, Anthony Hopkins. Why does that sound weird to me right now? Anthony Hopkins, he encapsulated Hannibal Lecter. You just can't top that performance. That is one of the best performances ever given in any film. Joseph Knowles says modern day comedy movies equal Mario movie. Yeah, that's it. Bland regurgitated baby food for easy mass consumption. Yeah. Eric Wander says the budget for USS Indianapolis was $40 million. What the fuck? That had a budget of $40 million? What? I thought that was like a $4 million movie at best. And the sharks look like Sharknado sharks. Man, I guess $40 million just doesn't go as far as it used to, huh? Joel Wayne says, who has the better filmography, The Rock or Gerard Butler? Whew, shit. I mean, what is the best Rock movie in your opinion? I mean, Gerard Butler's been in a handful of decent movies, but a lot of shitty movies. Oh, man, that's a tough one. That's a great question. I mean, besides the Jumanji movies and like, I guess you know what, The Rock actually had a few good movies in the mid 2000s. He had The Rundown, and he had whatever the other movie was called. I think I actually prefer more Gerard Butler movies than I do The Rock movies. I could be wrong. Who do you guys think has the better filmography? The Rock or Gerard Butler? That is a question for the ages. Joseph Knowles says, do you like Sam Rockwell talking about parrots in Iron Man 2? Iron Man 2 is one of the worst sequels ever made. I stand by that. And I think Whiplash is a terrible villain. It's just like, okay, I get that he has laser whips, but Iron Man can fly. He can just fly, and he can just shoot a fucking laser cannon down at Whiplash with his laser whips that have a reach of 20 feet. So this doesn't make any sense. The next one comes from Dustin Rich. How's it going, Dustin? Watch The Neon Demon already, John. It's got atmospheric cinematography, a synth soundtrack, seedy nighttime LA scenes, and it's kind of a dark comedy. Have I sold you? Dustin, not only have you sold me, you've convinced me to watch it very soon. I'm going to actually... It's been on the to-do list, okay? I watched Patriots Day the other night. That was a movie I never got around to watching, so I'm going to watch it. Let me... I'll make a note on my sticky note here. Neon Demon, and me and the lady friend will watch it this week, just for you. All right? Bruce Cook says, did you see Independence Day Resurgence in the theater? Clearly the worst. Oh, fuck, I forgot. See, I always forget about some of the worst movies I watch in theaters because I just like cancel them from my brain. Because I'll tell you something about my brain, guys. Not only is it encapsulated under a cheap felt cowboy hat right now, but the hard drive space I've noticed in my brain for the last 10 years has been filling up. I've maxed out my hard drive. So I have to delete certain things that don't matter. They have no consequence to my life. And Independence Day Resurgence is one of those things. But with all that said, I do in fact vividly remember going to see it at the theater and just thinking 20 minutes into the movie, wow, Chris Hemsworth's brother is a shitty fucking actor and I wish they never put him in movies. He's a less talented Hemsworth brother. And that's one thing I thought. Also, another thing I thought was... this is terrible. So yeah, those are two things I thought. And I do have a review for Independence Day Resurgence over on the Flick Pick channel. So if you get bored sometime, go check that out. Night King 01 says, I just watched Batman Returns the other day. Man, that movie just goes and it's glorious. Yeah, it just, it's not a perfect movie, but God, it's memorable and it stands out and the sequences are fun and Danny DeVito's Penguin, in my opinion, is Danny DeVito's Penguin. I'll show her my French flipper trick. Wah, 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 is one of the most underrated movie villains, not comic book villains, movie villains of all time. I don't think anyone else could have portrayed a live action Penguin as well as Danny DeVito did in that movie. Now, I know Colin Farrell did another version of Penguin, and that was all fine and well, but it doesn't come close to Danny DeVito's Penguin. Come on, man. I'm going to play this city like a harp from hell. All right, let's go to the next one here. Joel Wayne says, should Jesse Plemons be the next Superman? Why not? Ryan Potter says, can you remember the best times when you cried laughing? Oh man, it's been a while. I have a couple friends and we share the same wavelength of humor. And there's been so many times where something happened or a joke or something was said and I remember laughing so hard tears did in fact come out of my eyes. So yeah, it's been a while though, but it does occasionally happen. And that's when when you can do that around certain people, like that's the right person you should be around. Michael says Tom Hardy or Mel Gibson. I think Mel Gibson has had more great standout performances. I like me some Tom Hardy, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go with Mel Gibson on that one. Keanu Reeves is in the Neon Demon. Good to know. Eric Wonder says Gerard Butler has been doing some really good movies lately. Greenland, Cop Shop, and Plane. I didn't like Plane. I kind of got bored 10 minutes into it. I was like, okay, where are they going to go with this? And it just turned into a very generic action movie. Greenland was fine. It was a good movie. It was better than expected. I like disaster movies, and it felt somewhat realistic. And I enjoyed it. The next one comes, and by the way, guys, I'm going to wrap up this live show in about 5 minutes. So if you guys have any pertinent, juicy, glorious questions you want to get that shit in now. I'm going to wrap up the live show in 5 minutes, or however long it takes to get to all the questions, but I'm going to wrap it up. I try to wrap it up in about 5 minutes, because it's 1:40 in the a.m. Shut Up Cat Production says, best celebrity meltdown, Neon Demon stings FYI. I'm still going to watch it, though. I made a promise. And when a man makes a promise, especially a man wearing a cowboy hat and a denim jacket, that man keeps that promise. Best celebrity meltdown, my favorite was always Christian Bale on the set of Terminator Salvation. Oh, man, we're never working professionally again. You don't walk through the set, man. Do I show you how to set up your lights? No. Fucking A, man. Come on. It's just good stuff. Joel says, should The Miz be cast as Johnny Cage? No. Not only do I hate looking at The Miz's face, I think he can barely wrestle. He's good on the mic in WWE, but I do not want to see him in a theatrical film other than The Marine Part 12. Night King of One says, oh yeah, John, did you see The Bounty yet with Anthony Hopkins? I mentioned it last stream, and I hope you remember it. Yes, Night King of One, so let me tell you a great story, and this directly relates to you. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by this story, and I want you to set Indian style as I tell it to you. Are you setting Indian style? Are you ready? Are your ears opened and ready to accept what I'm going to say to you? I did. So I went to watch The Bounty one late night. I think it was 3 o'clock in the morning. My girlfriend was sleeping next to me, and the only place I could watch The Bounty for free was on Tubi TV. And I watched the first 10 minutes of it, and it looked cool. It's an 1800s film. It takes place on a Navy ship. Really good production quality. I was getting into it. But the thing about Tubi TV and their shitty app was every commercial break that it went to, it would freeze. So I had to keep resetting the app and going back and starting the movie over. So it just became a hassle. So I did watch the first 10, 20 minutes of the movie, and I'm into it so far, but I will go back and finish it at some point. So I hope you're happy with that answer. Ryan Potter says, did you ever have a 3D TV? No, Ryan, I did not. When 3D was a big thing back in 2010, I was kind of poor at that time, let alone being able to buy a 3D TV. And plus, I remember the technology, the first wave of home 3D technology had the Shutter 3D glasses, where it actually had something shuttering on your face that was battery operated. And then eventually the home 3D technology is what you have in the theater now, where you just put on normal glasses and you can watch and enjoy it. But I never got into it. And by the time I had a little bit of money to buy a nice TV, the 3D fad had already phased out, so I didn't get a 3D TV. Now, if I ever one day hit the lotto and become rich and I have a proper home theater with a projector and a 200-inch screen, and I can buy a projector that also presents itself in 3D, I would probably do it just to have the home experience occasionally. But no, I've never owned a 3D TV. Yeah, Fidel Ray says the Terminator Christian Bale breakdown. Oh, good for you. Yeah, I love it, man. Faisal Haiti says Neon Demon is great. Shut Up Cat Productions is a normie. He is a normie. I met that guy in person. Anthony says, I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel where I talk about law enforcement, the gym, and movies. One topic for each video. What do you think about this? Well, Anthony, if you want my solid advice, depending on how you present it, it could work, right? But the issue is people are very fickle on YouTube. And what happens is if you start swaying from different topics and genres of things, what someone subscribes to, they're going to, like, if someone subscribes for your gym stuff, cool, great. And then in your next video, if you talk about law enforcement stuff, they're going to be like, okay, what's this? Now, some people like myself would enjoy stuff like that. I enjoy content that has a little bit of variety to it. Because I'll tell you, the one thing I hate on YouTube is if someone just does the same shit every time, where it's just like blah, 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 same thing, 5 minutes in and out, they're gone, they're done. That stuff's boring to me. So I like what you're saying, but I don't know if it's the best foundation to grow a YouTube channel. I would say pick one of those things, make it the backbone of your channel. So if your backbone is gym stuff, well, there's nothing wrong with interjecting your personality and talking about the other topics you want to talk about, but as long as the gym stuff is your backbone. I think the best way to go with making your content would be something like TikTok. I think on TikTok, you can kind of just be yourself, have a personality, but then have a viewpoint on various different topics. And people don't seem as fickle over there. So maybe that would be a good, test it out on TikTok. See how it goes there. See what sticks the most. And then if you want to do long form content from that point with whatever's working, then take it to YouTube, or try it out on YouTube. Who cares, right? But that would be my advice. Did you read that Randy Orton might retire? Yeah, I heard that he had I read that he had a back injury that isn't quite healing right or something like that, and his doctors advised him not to return. But I think Randy Orton might return. I could see him coming back for like one match or something like that. But who knows? I mean, he's been around for a long time, for like 20 years now. So, I mean, my back hurts, and I'm not a pro wrestler, so I can't imagine what his back feels like. But thanks for the question, Kevy Rez. Mickey C says, would you rather have a beer with Stone Cold or drink Terramana with The Rock? What is it? Terramana with The Rock? I don't know what Terramana is. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know what that is. Is that The Rock's brand, or is that something else? I'll definitely drink the beer with Stone Cold. Ryan Potter says, am I paranoid, or is all the new films, and especially Netflix series, really anti-white people lately? I mean, you have to understand, these companies are corporations, and they're trying to appease the people. It's like every movie where you have an ensemble cast, it has a white guy, it has a black dude, it has an Asian dude, it has a Hispanic dude, it's got a girl, it's got a guy, it's got this guy it just has to have, everything has to have a variety in it. And that's fine sometimes if the story makes sense, like that's fine. Like, go back to, like, if you made the Goonies nowadays, right? If you made the Goonies nowadays, it has to be every different variety of person in that group. It can't just be 4 black kids and then 1 Asian kid. It can't be. It has to have every different variety to cater to everyone so no one gets mad at it. And it's a weird phenomenon, isn't it? It's really sad to me. It's like that's why movies made in South Korea, right? It just has a complete Korean ensemble. It has a cast of people that live in South Korea. They're Korean actors. Like something like Parasite, for example. It's all Korean actors. Great. That makes sense. If that was an American movie, it would have some guy would have to have some kind of weird, there would be so many agendas and it would just feel forced and tacked in there. So yes, back to your question, and I slightly forgot what it was, but yes, I do agree with you. Whatever tells the best story, do that. Sometimes it just looks like they're clearly catering. Carson Bragg says, I just got stuckmanized, John. Well, how did that feel? You won't be able to set right for 2 days. Carson Bates says, be careful with that one, John. Listen, I'm not a racist. I'm not homophobic at all. Trust me. If you hung out with me and my friends, you would realize very soon that we're not afraid to express ourselves sexually. I'm just kind of joking, but I'm just saying, like, I've taken many hot showers with fellow men, and I'm not ashamed about it. And we talk about our sexuality with each other as we express ourselves. And so my point is, I'm at a point right now on YouTube where I'm going to express my opinions, and I don't care. Please cancel me. Give me a reason. I don't care. Just back me into a corner, and I will scratch and claw your eyes out. But no, it's the truth. I think we're now, rather than telling the story and casting the best casting choices, we're now just appeasing people, good or bad. Terramana is The Rock's tequila. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm tiptoeing the question. I'm answering your question as well as I possibly can. Now go ask somebody else on YouTube that same question and watch them not even respond. All right, the next one comes from... Oh, God. I said I was going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. I guess I lied. Shut Up Cat Production says, John, flip that bird for me. I won't flip a bird, but I will tell you a story. I have a birdhouse in my backyard, and this is how I know I'm getting old, is sometimes I stare at my office window and watch the birds just going out of the birdhouse for like 20 minutes as I sip on a caffeinated beverage. Ryan Potter says, John, have you ever had a supernatural experience? I don't know if I have had a supernatural experience, but I will say this. I will say this. Without lack of a better term, sometimes I kind of feel like there's a guardian angel every once in a while that has my back. I can tell you so many situations that I've been in life where if I was 1 second earlier or 1 second later, things would have went very different in life for me. And it feels like at the critical moments throughout my life, I always get lucky. Some form of luck always happens. I say the right thing. I'm in the right place at the right time. I meet the right person who connects me with this other person. And somehow it's always helped me in life. Whatever the situation is or whatever it is, I just feel like there's been so many coincidences where I've gotten lucky, and I just feel like some kind of weird force field has guided me in the right direction each time. So I don't know. So that is the most paranormal experience I guess I could say I've had, is just sometimes it feels like I get dragged in the right direction. When something bad's happening over here, I just somehow tiptoe out of it at the right time. And now saying that, a boulder is now just going to fall from the heavens on my head. So, but you know what? It wouldn't kill me because I have this really cheap cowboy hat on. Clark Ingleton says, John, is your outfit the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket or Heath Ledger from Brokeback Mountain? I take it can only be one or the other. I don't think the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket wore a denim jacket. No, I'm wearing this because it was sent to me by Paramount for the release of Yellowstone. They sent me a swag bag of some shit, and I'm wearing it because of that. That's it. And I thought it would just be fun to wear in a live show. I don't know. Sometimes sometimes late at night, I like to dress up like a fucking cowboy. Okay? Yeehaw. All right. Mickey C says, John is tipped. Oh, I already answered that. I'm not a bigot. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, did you like Beau is Afraid? God bless you, Johnny. I have not seen Beau is Afraid yet. It's one of those movies I don't want to fucking sit in the theater to watch. I just don't want to watch it in the theater. I know I want to watch it at home. I want to just get all cozy and wear my slippers and watch it. I do want to see it. I just have not gotten around to watching it yet. And to keep it real honest with you guys, I was just kind of just watching movies that took me to a happy place for the last couple of weeks, you know? Breezy Cap says, I just discovered Patrick Swayze and I love him. Your thoughts? Patrick Swayze was like the Jesus Christ of my household growing up in the 1990s. My sisters loved him. He was a hot commodity. We loved every movie that he was in. And a personal experience with Patrick Swayze was my father resembled Patrick Swayze ever so slightly. He really did. He kind of had the same silhouette in his face. He had the same hair. It was all suaved and a little bit mullet-esque in the 1990s. And it kind of swayed back. And fun story is my sisters, they were 10 or 12 years old in the early 90s. And their friends would come over, and we would tell them that our father was Patrick Swayze's stunt double in the movies. Like, yeah, my dad was in Roadhouse. You see that roundhouse kick that Swayze did? That was my dad. And they believed it. Like, we had everyone in the neighborhood believing that shit. And they're probably like, if anyone could have just had common sense and put two and two together, they'd be like, well, if your dad's Patrick Swayze's stunt double, why do you guys live in this small shitty town in Ohio and live in this tiny little house? I don't know. But good times. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, I was hoping you did a review of walking out of the theater, but it never happened. Yeah, I will see Beau's Afraid at some point, man. I promise you. What's the last thing you said to Stuckman? Hasta la vista. I don't remember, man. Brandon Neville says, what is the film you're looking forward to the most? Batman, The Brave and the Bold, or The Avengers King Dynasty? I don't really care about The Avengers King Dynasty, especially for the fact that King might not even be in the movie, or maybe they'll just recast him, or maybe they'll have a variant that kind of looks like him, but it isn't him. I don't know. Who cares? Definitely Batman, The Brave and the Bold. I like that story. I like the concept of Batman having a son. I just think that's really cool and different and new, and the fact that it's going to be James Gunn's DC, that'll probably mean that new Batman installment will go for it with a little bit more of a fantastical approach, where it's not super grounded like the Batman with Robert Pattinson, and I think that's cool. Like I can't even imagine what that movie will look like, but that's my most anticipated upcoming comic book movie. Also, favorite cartoon of all time. Well, that's a tough one. I always had weird phases with cartoons growing up. You know, for a minute there, I couldn't get enough of the X-Men animated series. Then it was the one that always hits home with me is the one that always took me to another place that I think that went above and beyond a children's animated cartoon series was Batman the Animated Series. That to me, the tones and the stories, it just felt mature and adult, and it didn't feel dumbed down. And I think that watching stuff like that as a kid made me appreciate cinema more and not just wanting to watch new Fast and Furious movies, you know, so that's probably one of them. But I always enjoyed cartoons like Doug, you know, on Nickelodeon, stuff like that. Oh my, you guys are killing it with the later I do these, the more questions and viewers I get. It's a weird phenomenon. All right. I guess I blatantly lied about wrapping up the live show 25 minutes ago, but here we go. I'm a man of the people, for the people, selected by the people. And I will never let you down. I will never leave you hanging. And with all that said, let's continue this fucking live show until 6 a.m., baby. Here it goes. But can we please wrap it up in like 10 minutes? I'm getting really tired and I need to eat. Ryan Potter says, what conspiracy theories do you believe sound right? Oh man, where do you start? I mean, I think there's a little truth to everything. If you believe the official government story that they've told you, well, if you think the government is telling you the truth, I don't know how to tell you this, but they're not. Okay. I don't know. I think there's a little truth in everything. I think there's some truth in the 9/11 conspiracy theories. Does that mean it's 100% fabricated? No, I just think there's a variant of truth that we don't know. And why would they tell you? Why would you tell the general public, well, yeah, it could have been much worse, but everything's so summarized and clean, right? And sometimes when the truth is so simple, it's usually not the truth. I think the conspiracies with the moon landing, I think there's much truth to that. And the fact that we supposedly went to the moon 6 times until 1972, I think is really interesting. And we never talk about those later moon landings ever. The only one we talk about is the first one. And if you watch some of the footage, it just looks fake. It looks bad. There was another. I have some more dark conspiracy theories I'd like to believe in. I think there's definitely conspiracy theories about viruses that were very prevalent in the 1980s that were mass released. Things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. Don't get me started on my conspiracy theories. They're listening. But if I wear my cowboy hat wrapped in tinfoil, they can never get to me. All right, the next one comes from Matthew D. Hey, John, you're the best friend, Matt. Oh, sorry. Hey, John, it's your best friend, Matt here. Love your channel and your movie collection so much, man. Would you recommend watching American Psycho 2? Thanks, man. No, not only would I not recommend watching American Psycho 2 because you're better than that, Maddie, I would just somehow try to go to hypnotherapy to try to erase the fact that you know what American Psycho 2 is from your mind. So bad. So bad. I want your fit. What does that mean? Gladiator or Return of the King. I'm a huge Gladiator fan. I know some Lord of the Rings people are watching right now, just clutching onto their preciouses. But man, I'm a Gladiator guy. Gladiator's in my top 10 movies of all time. Sorry. Maximus Decimus Meridius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and he will have his vengeance in this life or the next. All right. Ryan Potter says, don't you think John Hamm could play Vince McMahon? Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. He's got the nice V taper hairline. I could see it. JT Hiskey says, thoughts on Campia getting rid of his live show. So I've heard a little bit about the rumors and speculation, and I've heard that John Campia wants to retire in a couple of years. And my theory on that would be, and I'm speculating from a guy who makes YouTube videos, who has a few buddies in Los Angeles, and I know how things work there. My thoughts are that John Campia probably was trying to sell his live show in a couple of years. He would like to sell it to some production company, cash out, and go a different direction. And I think that more or less was one of the reasons he was interjecting so many other hosts in his channel. That way they could fill the void once he eventually wants to retire and sell his show. So the John Campia show, or if they change the name, which I think they're going to have to if he sells the concept of it. But the issue here is it's the John Campia show. That would be like me selling this live show, Flick Pick Live. Would you watch this shit if somebody else was sitting here talking to you and answering your questions? I mean, maybe it would be a better show depending on who it was or who the host was, but it's just never going to be the same. The thing about YouTube is it's YouTube. It's the you. And the personality is 99.99% of what bring people to that channel, to those videos. So I think his plan was to try to sell the concept of the movie talk show, much like when it was Movie Talk on Collider, how that was something that you could sell, a concept, a format that you could sell somewhere else. But the thing is, it only works if the personalities are there, the people who latched onto it. I don't think the concept itself of just having a movie talk show is enough. So what was the question again? Oh yeah, getting rid of his live show. I don't know. Unless there was a new recent announcement, that's all I know. So that was my theory on it when I heard that originally. Now, if he's in fact getting rid of it, I don't know. I don't know. If John Campia gets rid of his live show, I will fill the void and I'll do my daily live show. And we'll just talk about like 4 or 5 movie topics. And then I'll fill the void. It'll be a shittier, not as well produced show. and probably not as well researched, and I definitely probably won't have other talking heads on it, but I'll fill the void if John Campea ever goes away for you. How's that? Or we'll just keep doing late night live shows where I just answer whatever the fuck you guys want to talk about, wearing a cowboy hat. Because this is the production value I bring to you. But what do you guys think about him selling his live show? The next one comes from... Back off, War Child. Seriously. Yeah, one of the best Patrick Swayze quotes ever. Ryan Potter says, will the global passion for video games and VR evolve to the ability to lucid dream? Some people would enjoy life more at night than the day. It's scary. I becoming an old man one day, the way technology and AI is going, it scares me the possibilities that could come to be a reality. It truly does scare me. So going to the question here, evolve to the ability, lucid dreaming. I don't know. I don't, there's something scary about being in a lucid dream where you don't quite have the control to take off that VR headset or stop that lucid dream. But if you want a lucid dream, man, I mean, you can buy certain psychotropic hallucinogens, and you can do that right now. You don't need a VR headset or technology. Sheriff Flickinger. Yes, I am. Adam Clay says, we know you're your own person. I don't know why people always got to bring up Stuckman out of nowhere. It's a general interest. I mean, the truth is, I have not hung out with Stuckman longer than 10 minutes in 4 years. We're just acquaintances at this point. People grow apart. Some people go different directions. It's just, based on personality types and things, could I have predicted this 5 years ago? Yes. Bruce Cook says, Doug Roger Klotz. Roger Klotz? Joel Wayne says, should James Gunn cast Nick Nolte as Alfred in The Brave and the Bold? Abso-fucking-lutely he should, and I'll tell you why. Because you can have a scene, and it goes something like this. Okay, scene. Batman stumbles into the Batcave. He's all beat up, and then Nick Nolte comes out wearing a tuxedo. It's a real nice thing we did for the Gothams of Gotham City, Batman. And then that's the scene. There you go. Let's go to the next question. Claudia Rogan says, hello, a bit late, but how you doing, fellow vampire? Doing pretty good, man. It's 2 o'clock in the AM, and I need to wrap this up here shortly, but I'm not going to leave anybody behind. Claudia Rogan says, oh yeah, I watched the Italian Job remake again, and it made me remember when Jason Statham was actually in good movies. After The Bank Job, he just stopped caring. And now he's in the new Meg movie, which I read the novel that this is based on called The Trench by Steve Alton. And that's a cool book. But the Meg movies make it look like Sharknado and cheap and comedic. But it could be like an epic sci-fi under-the-water adventure film. Like if James Cameron could direct the Meg movie based on the novel, it would blow your hair back. It's what he should be directing instead of Avatar movies. I mean, the man likes water. The Meg is the perfect movie with water in it and underwater labs and giant sharks and shit. But these new installments just look like junky comedic Fast and Furious movies with sharks in them. But the Fast and Furious remake with Mark Wahlberg was good, man. I remember seeing that in theaters like 3 times. Edward Nito, how's it going, man? Sup, John? Hope you're doing well. If you had to create a Mount Rushmore of horror characters, which characters would you choose? I'd choose Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, and Leatherface. Yeah, you covered it, man. I think you covered it. I mean, I think it would be funny if you put Chucky on there. I just think that would add a little something to it, but I think I would agree with your Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Or you know what would even be funnier? If you put Chucky and then you put like the Leprechaun right beside that shit. I know modern day kids would probably add Ghostface to it or something, but Joel Wayne says, your Nick Nolte impression always brings me to tears. Yes, well, I thank you for that. I'm glad at least one person appreciates it. Interstellar or Arrival? I think Interstellar, the scenes in space and the concept and the scope to me are more fascinating and visually stunning. I think Arrival's cool and a great story, but I'm going to go with Interstellar, even though I'm not in love. Anything that takes place in space with Interstellar, I love it. Anything that takes place in the farmhouse scenes with Casey Affleck, I can't, I just fast forward over that now. I can't look at it. Yes, I have seen Memento. It's been a long time, though. Candyman is always left out of the equation. Yes, Candyman, but really, beyond the first Candyman movie, what else? Did you like the sequel? I mean, I don't think he was as iconic. My favorite Martin Scorsese movie would probably be Taxi Driver and Casino. I also, modern day Scorsese would have to be Wolf of Wall Street. Thoughts on Gran Turismo movie? Don't know anything about it. I thought you were going to say Gran Torino, which I love. Yeah, get off my lawn. Oh, man. I'm all about my lawn nowadays, and I just look at it and walk around it like an old man. Like today, you know what I did? I'm going to tell you what I did real quick, and this doesn't relate to movies at all, but I'll tell you what I did today, because I like to keep this shit real with you, and I'm going to answer just one more question after this. By the way, Ron, take care. Good night, man. Thanks. Today, I took ant killer, and I walked around my house, spraying the perimeter and the foundation of my house with ant killer, pesticide killer. It kills cockroaches and ants, okay? And then I went around to each crack on my sidewalk and driveway and sprayed each one with ant killer. And I saw little trails of ants living their lives, just going down this little path, this little crack, living their life, going from point A to point B. And then here I come, like a genocide demon from hell, raining upon them, just spraying them, just murdering. It felt so good. Anyway, and now I'm a mass murderer. And I think that's the perfect conclusion for this live show, guys. So I do want to say thank you guys for joining me for another live show. I planned on doing this for an hour. We went 2 hours, but you guys deserved it. And I will be seeing The Little Mermaid tomorrow evening, so look out for a first reaction video over on the Flickpick channel for that movie. And also, if you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at the Flickpick, or follow me on TikTok at the Flickpick. I don't really do much on TikTok. I post first reactions every once in a while, but if you want to follow me, do that. And by the way, once again, I announced this earlier in the live show, but the live shows are now podcasts. So if you want the audio version of the live show, just go to Spotify, type in the Flickpick, and you'll get the audio version of this live show that you're watching. If you just want to listen to it, whenever, however, I will post that a few days after these show up on YouTube. And I do have the last live show on Spotify right now, so go check it out. And if you can, give it a rating. I think that's how Spotify works. It would be much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, we got 3 more questions at the last second here, so here it goes. Claudia Rogajon says, what's the best voice you can do? Probably my Nick Nolte. Claudia Rogajon also says, so you're basically churning into a dad, John. All you need is the kids to complete it. Yeah, we'll savor the flavor on that for a couple years. Right now, I'm just going to enjoy my lawnmower, my weed whacker, and killing ants. But thank you for that. Night King 01 says, John, I assure you, the bounty is worth the $3 rental. Is the bounty on DVD or Blu-ray? Maybe I'll just buy it off eBay. Or I'll pay the $3. All right, guys. But yeah, I'm going to finish the bounty at some point. Am I excited for the Twisted Metal TV series from MKF30? Yes, I kind of am. I am. I'm just glad they're going to have the ice cream truck in it with the killer clown. Will it be good? I don't know. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there. Okay. All right. Do the Nick Nolte impression. He did give me a super chat. I did one earlier, but let me do it.
Well, Claudio, it's a real nice thing when you're doing that super chat there. Now, give me both bottles. I heard it when you walked in. We're gonna do it my way. We're gonna do it the old school way. We're gonna wake up at every day at 6 o'clock and we're gonna train, okay?
All right. I think that's going to sum up the show here. As always, guys, thanks for watching. And if you listen to me on Spotify with the podcast version of this, well, thanks for listening too. As always, take care. Have a good night. And I'm going to go take off this cowboy hat and cry myself to sleep. Bye-bye, guys. How do I end this? There we go.